Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 27 of the Whitey and Wills Sports Show. It is Sunday, March 20th, and it is spring sports time. Last couple of days before today haven't necessarily felt too great for getting out and playing spring sports, but it's March, and we are playing softball in the area, and so we got our local softball coaches on the show today from St. Anthony. We've got now, Makayla. I should have asked before we started. I know what your maiden name is, but you're married now, and so
and it's actually it's still a game changer for me too. I still catch myself, hey, I'm Makayla Walsh, because that's what everyone knows me around here. So it's Makayla Taylor now. I didn't marry a local guy. I married Cole Taylor. He's from Fairmount, Illinois. So we actually met at Parkland when we played softball, baseball there, and then continued on to UIS. So so it's crazy. We've almost been married for a year now.
Well, this is a professional operation, so of course I don't ask these kind of questions before we start recording. We just wing it. But okay, Makayla Taylor, I've got it. Crystal Tipton from Teutopolis High School. Say hi, Crystal.
Hello.
And Jerry Trigg from Effingham High School.
Hi.
So thanks to all three of you for coming on. Again, I don't know, at least a couple of you have played already, I think. Has everybody gotten a game in so far? Or has the weather cooperated?
We were rained out yesterday. We had a doubleheader rained out.
Okay.
With Centralia.
Okay. I know St. Anthony's played a couple of times already. Crystal
Teutopolis has played once, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
We played once and then we got rained out on Friday.
Gotcha. So early in the season, early enough to do some previews. So we'll get right into it. We were talking before we started recording about what order we were going to go in, and we couldn't decide. I said I was going to wing it, and I think I'm gonna make Jerry go first. I think we're gonna go in order of seniority here, and Jerry, that's you have been coaching at Effingham High School for quite some time. What year is this for you? Do you know off the top of your head?
I think you're 24 as the varsity coach.
24. And that's an impressive level of dedication. What keeps you coming back? What keeps you coming back?
Oh, it's still I know I'm getting up there, but it's still a lot of fun. I still love to coach, and we've had great kids, so that makes it easy to come back. If we had some issues, it might be easier to quit, but no, it's just been fun. Still a lot of fun.
So, coming back, I don't know how are we feeling about this season? What do you got? What do you got in the works? Anything notable to share about your team this year?
Oh, I'm excited to get started. We need to get some games in. We have several newcomers this year. We have 4 players that played a lot of varsity last year, but actually 6 players played a lot last year. 4 seniors and then 2 juniors. But so we need to get started and get some games in and see what the newcomers can do. So we're excited about that. We think we're going to be okay, but we're going to be pretty young. We do have a junior pitcher, junior catcher, freshman pitcher, freshman catcher. So we'll have to mix them up a little bit and see how it works out. Get some kind of a rotation going there. We think they'll be in the lineup for the most part, but you never know. We need to be prepared.
Well, that kind of leads me into a question then. What's the strategy when you're trying to get some young kids some experience, but not maybe completely throw them in the fire? Because obviously you've got a conference schedule to think about and all that. How do you have a strategy year to year as far as working kids in, getting them time, or is it just sort of a play it by ear? Every year is different kind of a thing.
Well, I've always had the philosophy that this is not a senior team. Seniors they don't win. They don't play by default just because they're seniors. So we're trying to play the players that have done the best in practice. So if that happens to be a freshman, that's the way it'll be. I don't especially like to just throw them in there, but if they're head and shoulders above here at the beginning, we'll do that. But I like to work them in. I'd rather work them in a little bit. That would be much easier to do if we could get several games in like we have scheduled. We do have a heavy schedule early, which would be nice to figure things out. But then the other thing is whoever can hit, there'll be a place in the lineup for them. And we preach that all the time, that if you hit, we'll find a spot for you. So that's we just need some games to figure out who can do what.
And we were talking a little bit about the the early spring weather, games getting rained out here early. Has it been you've been able to get outside very much?
We've had several practices outside. We've had actually pretty good weather for practice outside. Last week, I think we had 3 really good days. Tomorrow looks like it will be, and then rain hits. But we've had enough practice. We need to play.
Yeah. Got something, Mike?
Just gets to a point where practice gets old. We need to.
Well, that's one of the things, Jerry. You guys, I mean, you guys can start earlier than I think most people realize. Indoors, do you find you get much accomplished indoors?
Well, the first week is not too bad. We really work on the swings, and the pitchers get to throw. We've got some mats that they throw off of, actual pitching rubber and mats that they can get their arms in shape. And we do a lot of throwing drills to get the arms in shape for the players. And we do a lot of reps in the hitting. So one week in the gym is okay, but once you get outside, and going back to the gym is really hard. It's hard to stay focused and really work hard.
You mentioned some kids coming back. Anybody specific I need to be keeping an eye on this spring? I know sometimes coaches don't like to single people out. I know, but
well, I don't mind. We put pressure on them all the time, so I don't see that this is much different. Grace Busher has played almost. I don't know if she started all 4 years, but she's played all 4 years. Lettered all 4 years. She'll bat in the middle of the lineup and play short for us. So we are counting on her to be one of the big leaders. I think I said she was a senior. The other seniors, Tori Booty played center field last year and hit well. So we're counting on her. Sawyer Altoff played left field all last year. We're counting on her to do well. Both those two are both very good base runners. And the fourth senior that played a lot, Dalen Dunstan, played right and platooned at second last year when we had our pitchers moving around. But and Dalen is a great base runner as well. Just need to find a way to get her on base more. And then our fifth senior is Natalie Lohman. She's been in the program all 4 years, but hasn't played much. But she continues to improve with the bat. So I'm sure I'll get her in there to get some big at bats for us. And then the juniors, Riley Cunningham was pitcher, second baseman last year, and she was second team all conference. I think she had 6 home runs, and 4 of those were in conference. So that really helped. So we're counting on her to have a big bat too. Then her sister, Abby Cunningham's catcher, and she'll probably catch and play third when we have the freshman pitcher in rotation, and then we have freshman catcher. Freshman pitcher is Sage Altoff. So she's played a lot of travel ball, but that doesn't always equate to great success, especially as a freshman. Now you're playing, instead of 14 under, now you're playing 18 and under. So, and Maya Harvey is a big, strong catcher as well, hits the ball well. So right off the bat, and we play a lot of double headers, so I think we're able to do that fairly easy. Mm-hmm. And we need to figure that combination out on which pitcher and which catcher. So, and other than that, we just have several newcomers coming in that are fighting for a spot.
Sure. And
it's all about, right now, it's all about hitting.
Yep. Apollo Conference, how do you feel like you're fitting into it this year? What's the outlook as far as the rest of the teams in the league?
Well, Charleston's got to be the odds-on favorite, I would think. They won the conference last year. They lost 2 or 3 really good hitters. They had an all-conference pitcher who was back, So they would probably have to be the odds-on favorite. But this year, both games count in the doubleheader, so that'll make a difference too. I think, we could surely get one game there, or that'll be the goal anyway. Try to split with them, and then really, it really is from top to bottom. It's wide open. Lincoln has a very good pitcher, so I think we beat her last year 2-1. But she's a very good pitcher, probably the best pitcher in the conference. But we'll see. I don't know. I really don't know what they had coming back or anything else, but I know they had a very good pitcher. And then other than that, of course, Mount Zion is always very competitive. Blakey does a good job there. Seem to always have 7 left-handers in the lineup that try to put pressure on the defense. And then Mattoon lost their number 1 pitcher, so I don't think they'll be as strong. Taterville, I really don't know much about. They didn't show a lot last year. And then Muhammad was pretty good last year. I think they finished 3rd in the conference, but they lost their top senior pitchers. So it'll be interesting. Those teams that were 2nd and beyond have a chance to move up this year. And if a couple teams can knock Charleston off, then it makes it really wide open. And we hope to be one of those teams anyway.
Sure. Mike, anything else before we put rake Coach Tipton over the coals here a little bit?
Let's jump to Coach Tipton now.
All right, Crystal, tell us a little bit about your team this year. What are we looking for? What are we looking for from the Lady Shoes?
Well, we've got quite a few returners from last year. There's 8 returning starters, and of course, the biggest news is our senior pitcher, who is no longer going to be allowed to pitch for us this year because she fell out of a tree stand and broke her back. So of course, starting off your season with that kind of news is kind of devastating, especially for her and her family. But her attitude is excellent. She's the big leader on the team. She's still going to play at Parkland. So my role for her is really, I'm going to try and teach her the ins and outs of pitching and why pitches are called, and so that she can learn that aspect so that she can take that to Parkland with her.
Yeah, I saw her a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, she was, good spirit. She said, yes, you can't do anything. She didn't think until like the middle of June or late June she might get released. But are you going to put that in your kids' contracts that they're not allowed to climb up in deer stands anymore?
I guess I'm going to have to tell them to use a harness from now on.
Yeah, that's it's not ideal, of course, but you've had a little bit of time to try and figure out how you're going to work around that. And one thing we know at T-Town is that there's never there's never any shortage of kids that are wanting to step up and to fill a spot, right? There's always another athlete that's looking for a chance to get there.
We have a lot of hard workers in this program, and really I've got Emily Conkle, who is a shortstop, who said, hey, coach, if you need some innings, I'm there for you. Kaylee Nieberge kind of jokes about it as well, but really we're going to just be relying on Courtney Gibson and Jordan Geckner, and then some of our other sophomore freshman pitchers to try and fill in for the missing Tia.
How's your schedule looking this year in terms of who you're going to be able to play? And you're not confined to the conference schedule. You can kind of play who you want. How are you taking it?
Yeah, it's definitely different this year not being in the Apollo. Man, that is a tough conference. So especially for softball, I think. So we just kind of spread it out a lot, kind of local stuff, and then some teams farther away so we can get some good competition in. With losing the Apollo, those competitions, those games were so competitive. We had so many 1-run games and close games that we really needed to find some games that we could replace that with.
Any teams in particular that jump out at you as far as ones you've been able to get on for this year?
We're heading down to Highland. Charleston's not far, but they're definitely still on our schedule and they're powerhouse. We're going to Greenville too. Just some of those farther ones that I've never actually played them because we didn't play them last year with the Apollo. So
Did you get to keep very many of your Apollo schools on the schedule, Crystal? Were they open to that?
we really did not. There's a few. I mean, obviously we'll continue to play Effingham, and I think Mount Zion's on there still, as well as Charleston.
Okay. You mentioned your pitchers. What else you got coming back standing out?
We've got Daisha Piedra. She's been our top third baseman. Got a really great bat. She's coming back. She signed to play with Frontier, so excited for that. Then we also have a big group of juniors. We've got Courtney Gibson, who I mentioned is going to be taking on a bigger role pitching this year. She had a great outing against Paris on Thursday, so we're looking for more of that from her. Then we have Danny Sarchett. She's our catcher, but she can also play in the infield if we need, so that we can get some other catchers some time, like Erin Altoff. She didn't catch as much last year, but we'd like to start moving her in and out a bit more just to get some more variety and get her some experience there. She was a starting freshman for us last year. Then we got Emily Conkle, who is our shortstop, one of our big hitters. Can't say enough about that kid. Hardworking, great attitude. Love seeing her play. She just lives for this game. Then we've got Estella Meddy. She's a junior. She's looking to play in the outfield. She did a lot of DPing for us last year, so hopefully we can get her in the field more, as well as at the plate. A couple newcomers we've got is Jordan Geckner. She's a sophomore. She's going to look to be our number 2 pitcher now. She's been working her butt off this off season, so we're excited to see what she can do. Then we've got Summer Wall. She's super versatile. She can play anywhere. She's a sophomore as well. And then at the end of the year, we had a senior who was going to the Navy, so she left early. So Olivia Koppel filled in for her in center field. She is insanely fast, has a really great arm. So I feel like we do have many of our returners back, and just hoping that we can continue playing more games, like Jerry said.
You guys have played once and had one rained out. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So tell me this. So you feeling pretty settled in now as coach of T-Town? This is your 3rd year, right? Is this your 3rd season?
Yes, with third year, but then you had the COVID year that never was.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously T-Town, Teutopolis, not an unfamiliar place to you for a lot of reasons, but coaching a different school, moving over, it probably takes a little time to feel settled. And you were obviously at St. Anthony for what, 10 or 11 years, something like that?
11.
Yeah. Feeling pretty comfortable with things there though. Like, as far as the kids, families, knowing what's coming down the pike and all that stuff.
Yeah, it was definitely a big change. At St. Anthony, you knew the families, you knew the grandparents, you knew everybody. So coming here, because we live here, we knew a lot, but, making the connections between who is who and who is grandparents to who and that kind of stuff was definitely new. And this being my 3rd year, I'm feeling definitely more settled down and just ready to teach these girls, ready to keep this program alive.
Yeah. Micah, you got anything else here?
Crystal did Emily Conkle, has she verbal?
Yes, she's verbal with Eastern.
Okay, I thought I saw that. So, yeah, and watching you guys at your championship game, see, that was a regional championship down at Mount Carmel last year?
Yes.
Yeah, that was, and I was very impressed with your girls that game. I helped Greg do that game on the radio, and you guys were literally probably one pitch away from winning it at one point. But yeah, just the way your kids played, and Tia Probst is a big hole to fill. Yeah, she's a good pitcher, but offensively as well. But like you said, you've got other kids stepping up and some kids coming up through the program. So it should be interesting, and I look forward to you guys having a pretty solid year again this year.
Yeah, that's certainly what we're hoping for.
All right, Makayla, you guys had a really interesting season last year and an exciting one, playing in a state championship game. Um, but then the drawback to that, of course, is that this year, did I understand this correctly, right? You're going to be in the 2A postseason this year instead of 1A, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So we got bumped up to 2A this year, which, I think that's what's makes softball so fun too. Every year it was kind of, you're 1A, then some years you get bumped up to 2A with your enrollment and your success as well. But, too, I think when like the rankings came out for 1A and 2A, I think a lot of the girls were just kind of disappointed too with not seeing, their name on 2A, which I was like, everyone kind of knew that we were in 1A. No one really knows who you are in 2A. So kind of, I think it's fun. It's kind of where we were at from last year, kind of being the underdogs and kind of making a name for ourselves again. But we started out Monday. We played against Unity, who's a great ball team. They got 4th in state last year. So it was a great start to our season. I will say it's, games kind of attest to where you're at and what you need to work on. And our pitching just kind of fell apart that game and giving up a couple home runs, and it kind of leaves a sour taste in your mouth, but it gives you a good idea that, especially for a lot of these girls, hey, this is where we're at. We need to work on, our weaknesses and practice. But yeah, we did get bumped up to 2A.
You got a lot of players coming back from that team, though. I mean, it's an enviable position that you find yourself in this year, I think, as far as the players that you have on your team.
Yeah. And that's the challenging part too, because, I have every single person back, but at the same time, we get 2 new sophomores, 8 freshmen that came in this year. So for me, I think the most challenging part is just it's hard to figure out who to play. I mean, I started out my lineup the exact same how I left it last year. And, I love playing around with it and, giving girls opportunities when they deserve it. And so I think that's the most challenging part that I'm going to have this year is just, who to put in certain positions. And it'll be nice too, because we'll have Sydney Kibler back this year. She kind of had the yips last year, so we didn't have her full-time pitching. So we're kind of throwing her into this pitching rotation. So I'll kind of configure where I want other people in the field too.
Tell us a little bit. Tell us about some of the kids to keep an eye on. I mean, I think we obviously know that Lucy has done a lot of pitching for you, but she's not the only one you've got.
Yeah. So Lucy Fearday, she's a phenomenal kid. She's probably our main pitcher. But what's nice about her is she can kind of throw her anywhere on the field too. But again, she's got a great bat. I mean, it's kind of almost scary pitching against them too, because I'll pitch against them in practice, and she hits the ball hard. So she's probably will start a lot of games for us. Sydney Kibler is another pitcher. So much power. She does shot put and discus as well. So she's got a lot of power, especially in hitting too. She rotates there, first base. And then she also has a twin sister, Maddie Kibler, who catches, and she's a great catcher too. She's just strong. All those girls are just strong. I mean, they're at least 3, 4, 5 in our lineup. So they're fun to watch. Another pitcher I have is Addie Wernzine. She's a sophomore. She plays a lot of second base for us. Again, a lot of power there too. And then Cam Rios is our shortstop, and she's just one of those kids that everyone wants on their team. I mean, she just is so aggressive. You can't teach that either. And she's just a good kid all around. You tell her one thing and she's like, all right, coach, sounds good. And I kid you not, after every practice, she's shaking my hand. Thank you. And she's a good kid. But she's hard to, I feel like, play against too, because she's one of those slappers. You don't know what you're going to get. I mean, she's either slapping it, she's hitting it for power. So she's really fun to watch too. I have Haley Nieberge back. She played third base for us last year. Solid hitter. And then Grace Karlevich, she's a senior for us this year. She played center, and I mean, God, she's got a golden glove too. That kid, she'll die for anything. So she's good, coachable kid. So she's really fun to watch. And then another senior I have is Alexis Stevens. She actually kind of became our like DP last year. She kind of understood too, because she was like, you know what, I like this role. I feel like it's good for me. And so she was our DP last year just because there was other girls on the team that were way quicker than her. And she kind of understood like, hey, that's okay with me. And she kind of, you know, just loved that role too. So I'm grateful for that. And a lot of these kids that are super coachable. And then I have Stacy Vonderheide. She's an outfielder and she comes in, she'll pitch for us quite a bit too. So she's got a lot of off speed and she can play really anywhere on the field too. And then I have Anna Faber. She plays outfield for us, and then she hits, she can bunt, she can kind of do whatever too. So and then obviously our newcomers, we have Nora Ganaway, so really fast. She'll probably do a lot of base running for us this year. And then Abby Hatton, she transferred over from Neoga. So, you know, I want to give all these girls as many opportunities as they can. So it'll be fun.
Yeah. I asked Crystal about getting settled in at T-Town, but for you, this is the whole coaching thing is still pretty new. Are you feeling pretty comfortable with it? I mean, getting to a state championship game pretty early in your career probably helps.
Sure.
Helps.
Yeah. Well, and I think it was so much fun having Crystal coach me all through high school, and my dad helping her too. And my dad helps me coach now too. So it's really fun. I mean, it was fun coaching with Crystal when I did get to here and getting through her. I think she had her 200th win with St. Anthony. So it's really fun to, there's a lot of history behind St. Anthony and all their success too. So I'm obviously grateful for that. But I think that's what's fun and challenging about coaching, because to be honest, I think all these coaches, we all have our own philosophies, but everyone kind of just creates all their ideas in this melting pot, and they kind of, piggyback off of each other. And I'd say getting a little bit settled, but still learning a lot as I go on. So.
Makayla, I want to tell you this, your sectional championship game over at Casey last year, and I was helping Matt Robinson do that on the radio, and a great game, a crazy game at times. I mean, it was nuts. And really, other than people in red, I don't think most casual observers didn't think you guys had a chance. It's Casey, it's Casey, it's Casey.
Yeah,
oh my God. Right. And, but as you guys were in that last inning, as they kind of just imploded and based on what you guys were doing, but they melt, you guys start hitting the ball and they just melted.
Yeah.
And I was having flashbacks to like 11 years ago of some 7th and 8th grade girls doing the same thing, kind of in a sectional when you were in 8th grade and my daughter Morgan was a 7th grader. And I was just kind of reliving that flashback of saying that. And it was so cool to see you guys do that, because you kind of were doing the unexpected. And that's good. Now I know, you've got your dad helping. Jerry is Jeff still helping you?
Yes, he is. Jeff Dunn is
sorry.
Jerry finally earned a stipend, and then
find a
Crystal,
better assistant than him.
Kristen Harvey is my other assistant.
Yeah, being stuck with Jeff, that's tough. I like to razz him a little bit when I see him, especially when I saw him umpiring some junior high games. I found that ironic. I said, hey, are people yelling at you about balls and strikes? But he does such a great job. And I know, Makayla, with your dad. Crystal, you still got the Bob Shoemaker helping you?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So you guys, you've all got helpers who've been around, I think, and that's a plus. especially in your sport, because you got so many kids in practice. You know, sometimes, yeah, one coach can handle a practice and do stuff, but it's so important to have people who help you at the other levels. Now, JV schedule, I know, Jerry, you guys probably play a pretty thick JV schedule, or fresh off, I should say.
We call it
And I
JV.
think, yeah, and I think that's important because that's getting those younger kids those chances, because you know, you don't get a chance to play everybody. Crystal, you and Makayla both have a pretty good JV schedule, fresh soft / schedule, or is it kind of fluid?
Yeah, we have 20 games on our schedule for JV.
Really?
At least innings, maybe not full games, but at least innings.
Yeah,
and then we got a couple tournaments, and then a couple of them are full games after a regular game.
Okay.
Yeah, ours is about the same too. We have, I think, 14, 15 games, and then it's about 3 to 5 innings, just depending if they have, lights or not too. So,
I mean, that's a pretty big deal, because you see programs where they get, smaller schools, especially, they can get 10 or 12 kids to come out for softball, and that's their varsity team. And that's it. That's a tough thing to pull off year to year, getting, even if it's just innings, like Coach Tipton mentioned, just getting them out there and playing, it's invaluable, is it not?
Absolutely. You can't really make up in practice what they get out of a JV game like that.
Yeah. Anyone else want to weigh in on that?
Oh, absolutely. We have 7 newcomers, 7 freshmen, and they just need to play. And it's going to be hard to throw them into those varsity situations.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure we'll be able to at times, but by having a JV schedule just makes it so much better. And that'll help your numbers. If you don't have games for JV, it's tough to keep the numbers up.
Mm-hmm.
They'll just quit.
Yeah. Kids to hang around if all they're doing is, chasing foul balls.
mhm.
And when that's all you get to do, because you don't have that schedule, and that's great that you guys you have that, you push that. I mean, your ADs, help you get that, because that's how you build the program. Your junior high can be a great feeder, but you kind of have that gap year in there where some kids don't get a chance to play much, and those minutes are important for them, or those innings and at bats.
Yeah, that's a huge thing too. I mean, some of these girls, just a lot of the freshmen I have, I have 8 of them, and I was even challenging last year because we didn't have a JV schedule. And I think this year I'm just grateful for that, just because I want to put them in those situations. And like you said, you want them to be able to look forward to something as well, and just not coming to those games and being like, all right, I'm probably sitting. And so it gives them, challenge yourself and watch the other girls. This is what we're doing, and we want the same thing to happen in our varsity program too.
Speaking of things to look forward to, obviously all of you folks play each other at certain points in the season. You're all on each other's schedules, and I think that the fans in the area certainly show up for those. Pretty. I think the reason that it's so interesting is because these kids, when they're not playing school ball, they have played with each other on different teams in the past, right? So there's a lot of familiarity between all of your programs.
Yes, they know who the players are. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of them are playing travel. I mean, I know a lot of them play travel ball together. Travel ball still a really good thing for your programs, or are there sometimes it kind of can be a drag?
I think it's still good for us. It's still good for us. I'm not going to complain about it yet.
Yeah, we promised easy questions here, Mike. So
you tough question I threw out. I'm glad you jumped on that. That was good.
I mean, that's actually something my kid is 10 years old, and so she's starting to get into the travel teams a little bit, and I don't know, what am I looking for at that age level to get her ready to someday contribute on a varsity team? Like, what does she need to be getting out of playing as a very young kid?
Well,
For me,
she needs
it's
a lot
all
of help
about-
from you as dad.
Yeah. Well, she's getting that.
And forget about the D1 stuff.
Yeah.
Don't even bring that up, because how many D1 kids do you know that we've had?
Yeah, and
So-
that's the biggest problem, craziness I see. And Makayla, your dad, when Morgan played on the Dogs, I mean, you know, it wasn't 170 games in the summer, and we weren't going all around the Midwest every weekend. And I think that made it enjoyable for the kids, and where they weren't getting burnt out or finding it to be a chore. And I really appreciated his approach to that. And I thought that was a good way to kind of get girls involved. And that was, I think she was probably the second year, maybe the third year the Dogs had a program she started playing. So it was when you guys were probably fifth grade, sixth grade, something like that.
Yeah. And I think, you know, there's a lot of levels of travel ball. I mean, you know, do you want to stick around or do you want to play with your local girls? I mean, a lot of my girls, they have kind of like the happy medium. A lot of play Midland Magic, some play more high intense where they're flying out every weekend playing somewhere. And you know, I think it's kind of, my parents kind of gave me that opportunity to, hey, do you want to be gone every weekend in the summer? What do you want to do? So, you know, they kind of gave me that opportunity to excel and be, you know, get better in softball. And I think, you know, my dad's a good testimony to that, because he was always like, you know, what do you want to do? And for each of us kids, he's been like that. And, you know, nothing wrong with whatever school you pick, junior college up to NAIA, up to D3, 2, and 1. I think no matter what level you're at, I think it's all great that you are playing at somewhere. So.
Well, Mike, we promised we wouldn't keep anybody too much longer than this.
Well, I do have a question for Crystal. Crystal, differences in this age of ball, high school age ball, with you growing up in Canada and playing up there versus the school ball here. Are there anything noticeable differences season wise? I know Canada's a big softball country.
Yeah, it is. I think it's just evolved so much since I have moved. Like, we didn't really have a whole lot of travel ball when I played. It was a lot of like house league, and then they had like a select team that you played on. Now the travel ball is running rampant in Canada. But when I came over to the United States, we did not have that. And we also, Canada does not offer athletic scholarships for university or college. So you're finding a lot of Canadians coming over to the US to play ball because they're getting the money for it. And like, you know, they're more like intramural stuff in Canada, which is not, you know, not really what people are looking for. They're looking to get their academics paid for along with playing the sport they love.
Right. Yeah. The competition wise is going to be different if it's not emphasized. And plus, if you're going to get some of your school played for, that becomes a win-win for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's definitely different from when I was there. I think the levels have increased immensely now.
So is the season in the spring?
In the summer.
Oh, is that so high? I mean, in the high.
Oh,
high
that's
school?
spring. Yeah, that's spring.
Okay, but is it shorter? I mean, because of weather?
I think it started later, and our school goes till June. So we would, you know, you'd start a little bit later.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I actually coached it for 3 years in Toronto.
Well, I'm going to give each of you a chance just to kind of take a parting shot here. Say whatever about your team you didn't get a chance to say. Jerry, you know, anything I didn't ask you about your club this year that you feel like you want to get out there as the season is just kind of getting underway?
No, I think I've probably said enough about the team. We do have one more. We have a volunteer assistant this year, Ryan Engel. He's going to help out. He's helped Kristen in the summer with, I'm not sure, 8 under, 10 and under, whatever. But he's been a big help in the summer, and he wanted to help us out this year too. So he's been a good addition. He's that one more arm that can pitch a little bit. So rather than kill Jeff, Kristen can't pitch. So she's an outfielder. So we'll use Ryan quite a bit. He'll be helpful. That's probably about it for me.
If Mike and I are still doing this show in 24 years, we still going to be talking to you about coaching Effingham High School softball?
Not a chance.
That was quick.
Crystal, anything else you wanna say before we let you get on with your Sunday evening?
No, I think I covered it all. I have to vouch. Ryan Engel is actually my daughter's travel ball team coach. So he's
Good.
definitely a good to have.
Good.
Makayla?
No, I just missed one of my assistant coaches too. We added on Jeff Kinkler to our staff. So other than that, I mean, again, it's like it's nice having an extra arm there, honestly, just with so many more swings that you have this year. So grateful to have that.
Well, we'll be looking forward to seeing how you guys, I mean, all three of your programs, year in and year out, strong teams, good to watch, lots of good results to follow. So we will be looking forward to that. Mike, you got anything else before we let these guys go?
No, looking forward, to getting out and seeing you guys play some. Got to do some City Series games last year with Greg and really enjoyed that. Got to do a couple of T-Town postseason games, and I've seen you all play, and, we got to get that where it's that 70-degree level or higher. I'm getting old, and it's tough. I'm not
That
setting
was
out.
better last year.
I'm not
Last year
setting
with the
out
season
behind
being
the.
later.
I'm not sitting out behind the fence with Charlie White anymore, so it's tougher to stay warm now. We always managed to stay warm when we sat out there, but looking forward to it. The softball in the area is good. We just talked about basketball and having deep runs, and Makayla's group made a deep run for us last year. It's always fun, and we're hoping that you guys, somebody gets that chance again this year to go deep in the postseason from the immediate area. I mean, it says a lot about this area and our athletics, in the broader scope, not just you three, but, kind of, within the 25-mile radius or whatever, that it's a pretty solid thing. And I wish you the best of luck this year.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for all you do for getting all of this out there to the folks. It's nice to get some recognition out there for the girls.
Well,
No problem.
you're sort of doing us a favor too, because when we do these shows and don't get a guest on, the numbers don't do near as well. So this is sort of a symbiotic thing here. You get the word about your team, and we get more than a few dozen people to watch our show. So everybody wins.
And if we show up at your practice with bringing some either Joe's or Pizza Man gift cards, don't be concerned. We're not trying to steal secrets or anything. We give out an attaboy every week, and we'll probably start that here in another week or two. And we give out a gift card to an athlete who we kind of doesn't necessarily someone who's done incredible things. It's just Dustin and I kind of have a weird way of looking about it. Just things that stand out, and we kind of give them that attaboy. So,
Yeah.
Don't run us off.
Coaches ever get those?
No, it's in our contract. No. Now, it has been mentioned that sometime coaches may want to share with the kids on that $10 gift card. That's
between the coach and the
totally up to
player.
you.
That's between the coach and the player.
Yeah.
All right. Well, unless you guys want to hear Mike and I talk about our crappy NCAA brackets, we'll let you bow out gracefully, but we got a little more show to do. We appreciate you taking the time, and wish you the best of luck on your seasons.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Good luck, coaches.
All
Good
right.
luck.
Luck to you all.
Thanks, everybody. So again, that was Jerry Trigg from Effingham High School, Crystal Tipton from Teutopolis, and Makayla Taylor.
Go.
St. Anthony.
I knew you had it in you to get it right.
Yeah, well, that's just me. That's just me being a consummate professional.
That's the word I was going to use.
What are you gonna do? I'm so old. I don't think about things like people getting married. All my friends are already through that, so that's my excuse. It's pretty flimsy, but we'll go with it. I haven't been looking. Is Wisconsin still playing as we speak?
No, thanks for bringing that up. No, they're done now. I had them as a survivor in my point spread pool. So now it's kind of ironic. You and I in this pool both have one team left, and they're playing each other today. So only one of us.
I got
Don't you have
two
Notre
left.
Dame?
I got two left. I got TCU over on the other side. I just need TCU to lose by less than 10. And
I got Texas Tech, and they're starting to get that 6-7 point lead on Notre Dame now. I saw it scroll across there. Wisconsin got beat. So the Big Ten's having a banner day. They've lost 4 teams today.
Yeah, Illinois, Michigan State, Ohio State, and now Wisconsin. Yeah.
But, it is what it is. I'm not in the past, I would say, the Big Ten's such a physical league, and now they can't play physical. But that's not what I've seen in these games, that they're getting caught. Usually it's because they get in tremendous foul trouble because they're playing too physical. And that's not what I'm seeing. To be honest, they're not making shots.
No. Yeah, I mean, that was honestly, with the Illinois game especially, it wasn't that they weren't getting looks early. I mean,
they were getting looks early.
And it seems to be, I don't know, the kind of the way they did things last year too, when they got in the tournament, was that they got in, and then the guys who were carrying them, making shots, all of a sudden weren't making them. And then once they miss a few, then they don't want to take them anymore. They've kind of shrunk away from the big stage in those situations.
They appear to get tight. And Houston flat out guards you, man.
Well,
I'm not a Kelvin Sampson fan.
Who is?
He's like shaking that proverbial greasy used car salesman. You want to wash your hand because he always gets in trouble. But dang, they get after you in guard.
Yeah,
I like that.
I will say this.
Whitey, here's my question of the day, and what I see, and I see this at high school and college level. All right, I got to see the tail end of the North Carolina Baylor game, and we had something going on, or I was watching another game. I'm not sure what was going on that I didn't get to see. North Carolina had the 25. I didn't get to see the controversial ejection. I started watching, later.
Not a fan of that ejection, by the way. Not a fan.
I didn't see it, so I haven't searched out a replay of it. But Baylor's went to their press, okay, and it was like, the junior high team that can press really good, and they're playing the not very good team, and you just almost start feeling bad for them. Okay. That turned the whole game around. That got Baylor to overtime. The press got Baylor to overtime. Okay. And then you watch high school games, and a team will get down, and all of a sudden they'll start pressing and they'll start causing turnovers. Teams don't press anymore hardly throughout the game. It's more or less like, okay, we're, here, you've been bitten by a snake. Let me get out this snake venom kit and our camping kit. And no, why don't teams press? And you can't press unless you've got 15 studs throughout the whole game. I understand that. But why are teams not doing it? I mean, that is the worst thing. And when you're down by 4 with 30 seconds to go, and you get a step back fadeaway 3 from 30 feet. Those are my 2 gripes in watching basketball.
Yeah.
At any level right now.
That would have been my obvious counter to the question about pressing as well. You can't do it the whole game because it's obviously physically taxing to do. I do wonder, just like switching defenses, you'll see a team come out of a timeout and all of a sudden play a different defense, just throw them off. Well, why not? Why not press for, a handful of possessions just to make them, especially if you feel like the momentum of the game is kind of getting away from you a little bit, then perhaps you do that to try and create a couple turnovers. Of course, the fallback to that is that if the press doesn't work, you give up easy buckets on the other end sometimes.
Sure, but North Carolina was just wilting.
Well,
I mean,
let me say something here.
We're talking about a Division I blue blood who has all these great players, and they couldn't get the ball up half court.
Now, I feel comfortable saying this because I don't give a damn about North Carolina basketball. In fact, most situations I would root against them, Baylor being an exception for reasons we don't need to get into on this show too much. But I do feel like if I was a North Carolina fan watching that game, I would have been losing my damn mind because I felt like Baylor was getting to take a lot of liberties down the stretch. They were doing a lot of hanging and grabbing and not really.
But when they were trapping, I think it was that game I was watching, and I was telling my wife, look, here's a trap. Both trappers were big. They weren't reaching and poking and trying to yank it away. And that's a problem you see with every level. When you have a trap, don't try to get the steal. Don't try to get the jump ball because they're not going to happen. Make them throw it away. And holy cow, have I seen some horrendous passing out of traps and then trapping in the half court when, everybody's trapping the dribbler. I understand when you're coming off a ball screen, that seems, but wow, just some god awful passes by people in double teams. It's really, it's almost like free throw shooting. It's lost. What happened to teams that, high school teams that shot 80% from the line? They don't exist anymore.
Yeah, it seems.
And all these hot shooting teams that come in, oh man, they can shoot it. Well, when you don't shoot it very well, they're getting buried.
Well, and free throws are like, I mean, and you listen, you've coached, I haven't, okay, but I do feel like free throws are one of those few things that you can get better at by practicing a lot. Like you can't coach, you can't practice getting bigger and more athletic, but you can that's certainly something that you can work at and get better, right? I mean, am I wrong there?
Well, it's repetition. Here's one of your biggest problems, and again, this is just me getting on my proverbial soapbox. And being in gyms and at practice, when you take that, okay, 5 minutes, we're going to get a drink, shoot free throws. It's yak. Nobody's taking it seriously. Okay. And again, I once had a coach tell me, oh, I don't like it when you're shooting free throws. And if you don't do this, you got to run and the team's, but you got to do something to make it important. And if it's not important and it's relegated in practice to, okay, you're yucking it up with your buddies while you're shooting and you're jinking or dinking around, it's not important. And if it's not important, then the kids aren't focusing on it. And when the kids don't focus on it, it doesn't come overly repetitive. And, oh my gosh, what happened to the great free throw shooters? 20 years ago, teams were doing it. 30 years ago. Well, I remember in the 80s when college basketball was incredible, teams shot. I mean, when you went to the line, you knew guys were automatic.
I'm going to take 1 second here, let my cat out of this room. She is
a casualty. A casualty.
Otherwise, you're going to have to listen to her.
I didn't hear a thing, so she wasn't making too much noise.
It was
a couple things, and watching the shows. Frank Martin's been on one of the shows. Love listening to him, but when I'm looking at him, it's almost like it's almost like he's got a skull cap on. He doesn't look natural with the shaved head.
No, I hesitated. I was going to make a crack about it, but I wasn't. I wanted to be sure that it wasn't it's not health related, right? He doesn't
I
have.
don't think so. No, and I love listening to him. He's a good coach, very knowledgeable. I love the points he makes. Huggins is on tonight. You know, I'm sure they got to wake him up every time they go to. And Bob Huggins is a good coach. He's smart. Rex Chapman, I thought it was Howie Mandel the first time I saw him. I thought I was on like
know.
America's Got Talent. He
Just because Craig Sager is gone doesn't mean somebody has to start wearing goofy suit coats to take up the mantle.
Chapman, I almost looked like he had a hooded sweatshirt on the other night.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
and but you can't beat Kenny Smith, Clark Kellogg, and Chuck with oh gosh dang it, who's the TNT guy now? I don't like Gumbel as much because the chemistry's not there.
Oh, you're talking about Harlan? No, not Kevin Harlan.
He's awesome.
Ernie Johnson.
He does the NBA. He's the
Ernie
host
Johnson.
of their NBA stuff.
Ernie Johnson.
Ernie Johnson. He is so good, and he has such a rapport with them, and he knows how to play and prod and poke.
Yeah,
Chuck.
well, I was going to say the entertainment value for that makes up for the fact that some of those panelists don't actually know anything about college basketball.
Well,
like Charles Barkley doesn't. What is? I think he's better than he
puts
used to
in
be.
time. He really does. Leading up to the tournament, he's watching a lot of tape. It was funny. They were complaining about Kelvin Sampson in the video released after the Houston win. They were dancing in the locker room and they were dousing him with water, and he had his shirt off. And Chuck said, "We need a rule. No coaches are allowed to remove their shirts."
Yeah, well, I think I agree with that.
And it was just, but they're insightful and they're funny. I guess Rex Chapman said something about he was sorry to hear about Pete Gillen's passing.
Pete Gillen works.
He's still alive. Huh?
He works for CBS.
Yeah, he's still alive. So
yeah, that was a bit of a gaffe. I don't know how much. I don't know that they'll bring him back. I don't know that they'll have him back next year. But also, some of the other people on the panel with him, pretty good. I think
Candace Parker does a good job.
Yeah, I like Candace Parker an awful lot, and honestly, Seth Davis has still got it. I think
he's good. I know people were kind of ripping on him about, he picked somebody. That's his job to pick a upset of the day. I mean,
the thing is
he picks somebody for that, like, Tennessee Chattanooga, and that was a 1-point game. Well, the upset he was predicting was a 1-point game. That was pretty
well. And listen, predicting games to finish the way everybody expects them to is not good television either. Okay,
no.
I mean that's not what they're going for. So you gotta take all that with a grain of salt. But one thing I will, if we could just jump back to Illinois for a minute, I don't think that Illinois has played well in the last couple of tournaments. Obviously, I will say that they haven't gotten the easiest draws either. I think that last year
I agree with that.
Loyola was a vastly underseeded team, and
the
Houston,
Ken Pond thing. I think when people look at that, but I don't know. That's a hard thing. I mean, my question is the narrative from the bloggers and the talkers out there. Last year they spent so much energy winning the tournament, and then they were out of energy when the NCAA started. That was the reason they didn't play well. Well, this year they got knocked out of the first game, and they were talking about it. Well, we're not going through that grind. So
this is not me making excuses. I mean,
no, but I'm waiting on the first article to now come out and say, well, we had too much time. It's so back and forth.
Well, at the end of the day, bad basketball is bad basketball.
Exactly. That's just like some of the Indiana. I haven't read them. I've just seen them referenced. People complaining about, they played, and then they had flight delay, and they rolled into Portland at 4 a.m, and they were tired.
Well,
didn't bother Notre Dame.
Yeah, and it's the same. I have the same attitude towards that I have toward pitchers who get mad whenever a batter pimps the home run. If you don't like it, then next year don't be in the first. Don't be in the first four. Don't put yourself in the position where you have to play on Tuesday night just to get into the Thursday games if you don't like it.
Rutgers beat you at home in a game you gave away. That's why you were playing in the play-in game. No, I agree 100%.
So,
and you know, I've already seen some people today complaining about the tee. Yeah, the tee for the kid on the rim, terrible. I mean, bad call. Kid was protecting himself. Yes, there wasn't a defender under him, but if he lets go, he landed on his back. I saw a high school kid do that once, slipped and was parallel to the floor and came down and landed flat on his back. He didn't chin up. He wasn't doing this on the rim. He was protecting himself. Shouldn't have been called. But you know what? As a team, you say, okay, now we're mad fired up, and after the free throw, they came down. Kofi got an and one. They were all jacked up. Okay, maybe you're going to use this as momentum and build on it, and then you give up like a 10-2 run. Don't blame it on the technical.
No,
but it's out there, and you know, one of your players got fouled shooting a three-pointer and made one free throw.
Yeah, and
you know, there was things like that going on. It was just a tough game. It was a tough game. Wasn't as hard to watch as the Indiana game. I had to turn that off. That was so bad, Whitey.
Yeah, it was pretty one-sided, I got to say. But you know, there's been a couple of pretty big names as far as guys, post type guys who have been getting a lot of, I don't know, a lot of hype for being pro prospects. But the kid from Gonzaga. And now I'm going to blank on the.
Not Timmy.
Chet.
The big kid, the 7. How big is he? 7'1"?
Yeah, here.
Holmgren.
Chet Holmgren from. You know, I watched the Gonzaga game last night, and he was, first of all, he can't defend in college. He's not going to be able to defend in the pros.
Oh, if a player like that says they're going pro, they're getting bad advice.
Yeah, and honestly, you know, there was some talk about. I think that Kofi Coburn still. I don't know what he's going to do in the pros either, because that game today is one where he needs to take it over, and he was not able to do it.
He has had some games where the physicality has hampered. You know, if he's clearly.
I mean, he gets mugged a lot. I mean,
Zach Edey gives him trouble sometimes because of his massive size.
Yeah,
and Kofi is a great player. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but
no, I'm not.
I mean, I look at his body and he's like Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is one of the best players in the NBA because he can do more than dunk.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's one of the things. So Kofi's hands, sometimes he's a little susceptible. That's it's hard sometimes, especially when guys' hands are so big. I don't know. That's just like the Trace Jackson Davis at Indiana. He doesn't have much of a game outside of taking people to the rack or posting up. Well, he's 6'9". He's a little undersized for that game in the NBA, I think, in my opinion. And I'm not sure he's ready to go. I'll tell you, there's going to be a lot of portal movement this year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people are going to be shocked. There's going to be some people entering the transfer portal.
Yeah,
from the teams we both cheer for.
Yeah, I know that. You know, I try not to. I don't look at athletes, college athletes' Twitter accounts too much, because quite honestly, they are kids, and what.
Right. I don't follow any active college players.
But I do know that you know, Andre Curbelo kind of already made a comment that would lead you to believe that he's going to come back, which he's a player who had a tough year. lot of hype before the season started, but he had some health issues that I don't know that he ever got back from. And he's got a lot to, just got a lot to learn about playing under control, I think.
When you have the concussion issue last as long as his did, I mean, you're not able to do a lot while you're out with that. I mean, back in the day, he got his bell rung, he'll be okay. And that's monitored more closely. I mean, he's still having symptoms and probably not back to his baseline, where they do that testing. That's hard on a person. And it's a long time before you ever get back, even when you're allowed to come back. So there's a lot there. I mean, he loves having Kofi where he can go and do this and that and make an incredible pass to Kofi and do something, or make an incredible finish. I mean, he's a very talented kid, but I think he's got to learn when you hit the accelerator and when you tap the brake.
Yeah, I mean,
I think he'll make a back-to-back incredible plays, and then he'll make back-to-back passes. You're like going, wait a minute. And
yeah,
you got to find that happy median.
And he probably should be just told not to take jump shots anymore. I think that's probably, unless he works on it a little bit. But right now, I don't know that I've ever seen him take a jumper that I'm like, man, I'm glad he took that shot. I
saw a quote from Jim Boeheim was being interviewed, and the quote was out on Twitter, and the subject was transfer portal. And he said 20% of the transfers have worked out great. 80% of them have not. And I think sometimes, I mean, there's been kids playing, in the tournament who were on their third or fourth school.
Mm-hmm.
And, now I forget who the kid was, but he was the D2 or D3 player of the year. And then he went to a Division I school for that fifth year, that bonus year. And I think that's awesome. That's really neat. But these guys that, they're whoever they listen to, or they don't like it, or they're not being used properly, and then they're not being used properly. No, there's too much of that. And you see it in high school. Some of these kids are in their fourth high school, and I don't know.
It's hard to know. It's hard to know because every situation is a little different, and it's hard to, unless you're there, intimately involved with it. It's I guess it's impossible to know exactly what went into all those things. But yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of situations where it's just, somebody giving you advice and probably not with your best interest in mind as much as their best interests.
Well, and Jerry Trigg mentioned it earlier, every kid's not going to be a D1 player. Every kid's not going to go to the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And you see it with the travel ball, let the kids, let them play and be kids. And it's just, it's interesting. The coaching carousel, is all starting to move. I saw the Miller brothers, I think, are both being rumored to having jobs now, Sean and Archie.
Yeah, I thought Archie was going to Rhode Island.
Archie's going Archie's going to Xavier.
Oh, Xavier.
No, Archie's going to Rhode Island. Sean's going back to Xavier.
Yeah, well, just thrilled for them that they're landing on their feet.
And since our last show, Bruce Weber's probably been able to get a haircut now.
Yeah, I wonder.
Finally, the first hammer fell there, and Will Wade was deep six. I mean, when you have your text messages where you're paying off girlfriends of your players to keep quiet about the $30,000 you're giving that player every so often, that's not good. And that's the unfortunate thing. Too many people have gotten away with that stuff and still do. I mean, it was.
Yeah, I think the average person probably doesn't. I think for the most part, you don't, and it doesn't matter what school you root for. You probably don't want to know too much about what's going on behind the scenes anywhere. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how easy it is to succeed at that level of basketball and do it on the level. And I do kind of wonder if that's, why Bruce Weber, Bruce Weber's got some some things that hold him back as far as charisma goes. But, he's a good basketball coach, but I think he also kind of refused to do certain things. And some of those certain things are the difference between being a so-so Power 5 conference coach and,
it could be
being a highly successful one.
I tell you Bruce Weber's story. We were at his team camp when I was coaching at St. Anthony, and my players were harassing a young Zach Wilson who was probably 10, 9, somewhere in that range. And Zach was a little husky at that age, and they were doing something, and he turned and ran. And of course, he's looking over his shoulder, running from my players, and he runs smack into Bruce Weber and drops him. I mean, Bruce Weber is like a sniper. He went down. This is happening in the Armory. You play games in the Armory there, and you got all these courts. And I thought I didn't know if I was going to throw up. I didn't know what. Oh my God! And it was hilarious. Bruce took a picture with him, and I was, oh my God, Coach, I'm so, oh no, this kid needs to be playing football. He packs a punch. And so yeah, that was our brush with greatness with Bruce Weber. Zach just dropped.
Yeah, he seems like a lovely guy.
Good guy.
Yeah,
very personable.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know what else. I don't really know what else I want out of this NCAA tournament at this point. I don't. I didn't really. I guess the Big Ten still got Purdue, and Purdue's a team that has the tools to make a deep run. But
Michigan.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying there's still a lot.
They're still there. They're still there.
Hey, unless Notre Dame ends up in overtime, I think you're going to advance and knock me out of the point spread. I'm just telling you.
I think that if I was looking before the tournament, Purdue, with the tools they have, the athletes that they have, they could go on a jag. I thought that, and obviously this didn't happen. You had Iowa in your Final Four, and
both Iowa and Purdue in my Final Four.
And Iowa's a team that they've got the shot makers, but they certainly
couldn't throw it in the ocean.
Yeah,
and defensively they weren't the strongest team. They were okay. They just did not look good getting beaten that first round game.
I am pretty low on the list of Fran McCaffrey fans, so I'm not going to say that I didn't take a little bit of pleasure in seeing that one go down. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I just based it on the fact I really liked the way they were playing.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting. St. Peter's probably the story of the tournament now.
Yeah.
I didn't tear up when they beat Kentucky.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah, people outside of the state of Kentucky, maybe outside of Lexington, were the only people who weren't upset. But then they turned around and beat Murray State. So there's back-to-back wins in Kentucky.
I think Murray State. So Murray State's going to be in the Missouri Valley. Is that's they're getting out of the OVC. Is it Missouri Valley?
They're going to the Valley. Is that next year? They have one more year.
No, this is their last year. This is their last year in the OVC. I wonder, and we're starting to ramble, but we can talk about this real quick. The Ohio Valley, I don't know that it had much left to offer Murray State, in terms of competition year in and year out. But it does give them the opportunity to get back to this stage every year, and they get that exposure. And they obviously had a fantastic team this year, one that was they didn't just get like your 13 seed that an Ohio Valley team gets a lot of times. They were a 7 seed this year, very well respected. Do you think that playing
they had an EIU transfer portal player who was one of their best players, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He was a grad transfer, so those are one of the ones that you feel like a little better about. But do you think making a jump to the Missouri Valley? Do you think? Are they going to be able to walk to NCAA berth every year?
No, but they're going to be a great addition. They're going to come in and they're going to battle with all those teams in the conference. The Valley's got to be thinking, gosh, did the Valley still only get one representative this year with Loyola? I think they did, didn't they?
Yes, that sounds right to me.
I mean, there's been times where they've got two. I mean,
Yeah, there were some years.
there's definitely going to be teams in the Valley that aren't happy.
See, part of the problem for me is that there's been so much conference movement that like I was getting ready to say, well, no, wait a minute, somebody else got in, but now I realize that school is not in the Missouri Valley anymore. So
didn't the Ohio Valley pick somebody up? Edwardsville, SIUE's in there now.
Well, SIUE's already been in. Already been in. It's Evansville. It's so probably.
Oh, they just traded. Evansville left the Missouri Valley and went to the Ohio Valley.
Yeah, and OVC's got some sort of an arrangement with. I'm going to forget the name of the conference now, but for football to try and fill out schedules because right now they don't have enough football schools to fill out a full schedule. So we'll see how that goes. But it's certainly there's been a lot of turnover with the OVC lately. Some schools getting out, and that's just kind of the way of the world. Teams are always looking for the better situation. So. Yep. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's a
the dollar drives it, man. The dollar drives it. It really does. You see these conferences, the networks offering them incredible money, and
you sort of wonder if the Big Ten, is going to do anything different.
There's been talk. You'll see rumored, so-and-so's thinking about leaving the Big Ten to go to the Big 12 or the SEC. It's just like when you talk about the coaching carousel, Kansas State, Brad Underwood was their top choice. He played, I'm pretty sure, at K-State as a player. I don't know if, like when Self went to Kansas, that's a move up, obviously.
Yes.
I don't know if going from Illinois to K-State is a move up. I mean, I like Brad Underwood. I really do. I mean,
it might.
He doesn't coach the same way as he did before he got to Illinois. He's not as aggressive offensively and defensively was. He tried to be his first year and had to kind of dial that back. But I think he does a good job. I mean, it's just, I don't know. People get offered so much money, and then so-and-so's going to go here and so-and-so's going to go there. And,
I would prefer him not to do that, obviously. I mean, I have not been super thrilled with, again, the last couple of tournament appearances. They have, underperformed based on what the expectations were, but I'm not ready to lay all that at his feet just yet. If we have the same conversation next year, then I don't know, but I guess at the end of the day, I just don't get too worked up about it, because by this time of year, I'm already thinking about baseball. The only sport that truly matters.
Speaking of baseball, I think right now our plan is to have our 3 baseball coaches on next week. I will reach out to them probably tomorrow. That would be the plan.
Okay.
Whitey, Texas Tech game's a 1-point game.
Well, all we need is for it to be 7 or less, and
that's why we're hoping for overtime.
No, not necessarily.
No, necessarily we are.
Well, you say we, and that's not that's not the way I see it. But hopefully we'll be able to get do a little round table with baseball coaches next week, like we did with softball. And like we mentioned last week, I know there's other things going on in the spring, but there are not other things that I can speak real intelligently and ask good questions about. And so that's kind of where we are. We're not going to completely ignore those other things, but I got to stay in my lane a little bit. So we can.
I'm just telling you, Whitey, hang in there.
We're just gonna keep recording.
No, because we're gonna have 27. We'll have 27 timeouts.
Okay.
We're about to make it a 5-point game here for making another free throw.
Well, I'm used to this stuff not panning out for me in March, so I'm not going to be too worried about it. I'm all my attention is on my NL only draft in 2 weeks, and then they'll be
So
playing
do you
ball.
still have your Freddie Freeman boxers, or are you gonna get rid of those?
I very badly wanted them to just give Freddie Freeman whatever he wanted, and I think they would have been justified to do it, because the man, he signed an extension, before, when he knew that the team was rebuilding, and he's been with you through a lot, and you probably don't win a World Series without him. But that's not the way baseball teams operate, and so they had a chance to get younger and get
Is it 7 in the hook or just 7?
7.5. Yeah.
Oh, it's 7 now with 16 seconds.
Okay.
Those guys in Vegas know what they're doing.
Yeah, but I can't be too unhappy with Matt Olson on the Braves either.
No, that's a good pickup. I did see where Freeman was a little upset.
Yeah, I don't
He
know.
didn't hear about that from the Braves, so
No, that obviously seems like it could have been handled better, but it just depends on who you talk to about it. All the Braves bloggers and writers are saying, well, Freeman's representation kind of let him down, that who knows? He kind of made some comments during his introductory presser with the Dodgers that basically said, like, this was my backup plan. He basically said, I want to be in Atlanta, and I don't know, is a 6th year really worth like people say, well, he should have just taken the 5-year deal. Well, I don't. I think a player should always get whatever they can get.
Carlos Correa's deal, he got 0.3, so he's now has the highest annual contract ever because of that 0.3.
And plus, he's got those opt-outs too. I mean,
he can get out both times.
I don't really expect him to play more than 1 year in Minnesota. I think that
I really don't.
The offers weren't there like he was expecting, I guess. Like he was expecting, I don't know, the Yankees or somebody to give him some nutso offer. Like I kept hearing people say, well, the Cubs, Cubs fans seem to think that they should, and I don't think those Cubs fans understand what that team is doing right now, which is not trying to win baseball games.
Come on, fouling. But ended up 6, Whitey. You're good. You're moving on.
Good. What do I have to? How far do I have to get to make any money in that? I forget.
Final 4, you get a little money. I think Final 4, you get something.
Okay, good. Well, maybe TCU will somehow stay within 10 of Arizona tonight, and I'll still
been in the Final 4 the last 3 years. I won it last year, or 2 years.
Well, you know what? That'd be just fine with me. Yeah. All right, let's sign off.
Okay.
Again, next week, tentatively planning on getting baseball coaches. That is
tentatively shooting for baseball coaches.
So hopefully there, and we'll know a little better about where Mike and I stand in our head-to-head bracket challenge. I didn't have a chance to really figure it up, and I figured there's still games going on, so it's kind of a fluid.
3 of my Final 4 are still alive, Whitey.
Me too, but I kind of bought into the SEC hype a little bit too much. I gave Tennessee too much credit, and that's why I should just not even read anything. I should just fill out a bracket and not even try to be smart. Probably work out better for me.
Maybe next year we can invite celebrities to turn in brackets and we'll have a contest.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea. Get some local coaches and ADs and stuff. That would be fun. I think that is a good idea. Good idea. All right, perfect.
Okay.
All right, we'll end it on a high note. If you're watching this and you're not subscribed on YouTube already, do it. Doesn't cost you anything. All you need is a Gmail account, which most people have these days. So click that subscribe button. Follow us on Facebook.
We're at the 80 threshold, I think, 79 subscribers.
Yep. Tell your friends, tell people to check us out. We get some pretty good feedback from people who listen regularly. So, hopefully some other people can have that experience. They just know that it's there. So, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you out on a baseball diamond somewhere as we get a few broadcasts in, as that postseason eventually shows up. So, all right, Mike, we'll talk to you later.
All right, see you, Whitey.
All right, see ya.